Hello and welcome to my channel. You finally made it here. Congratulations. You and I, we made it to the place which will break through the limits of what's possible. So make sure you like, you subscribe, you comment, you send me feedback, and tune in to the transformation process. Tips and tricks as it continues to emerge. So, Bismillah, my agenda is quite big today. I will first talk about who I am and my scientific contributions and my practical contributions in the field of innovation. And then I will discuss why am I here and what's the vision from Giggiwins. And further on, then I will give you a brief overview about the problems which I think are quite vital to be addressed. And I will dive in to the first problem and its manifestation on an individual and a societal level. And is it really only an individual and a societal level problem, or does it impact other areas of our lives that we're not aware of? So first of all, who am I? My name is Dara Mahmoud Hegi, and I have a master's and a PhD in molecular biosciences from the University of Heidelberg and the German Cancer Research Center in Germany. I've always been, very thankfully, I've always been an academic top achiever, and I've defended my PhD with a summa cum laude, and that's the highest German grade. And I have managed to publish my work in Nature last year. That is something that I'm very thankful and very grateful for. And to those of you who don't know, Nature is the top scientific journal worldwide. So my PhD work has later attracted to $0.7 million in funds to the lab I was previously working in. So I will now give you a brief overview about the model that I have came up with from my scientific work, the PhD. So this then allows me to briefly say that there is a group of cells in the body that when we stop growing, they remain in our organs and they help replenish those organs as they get older, or when the cells get infected with microorganisms or stressed with chemicals and toxins and so on. So these cells are called stem cells. And when the stem cells divide, they give rise to a cell that remains a stem cell, and then another cell that differentiates into any cell type that the body wants. Depends on, of course, the organ in which the stem cells are. So what I did mostly in my PhD is I worked on the intestine, so I will continue to talk about my discoveries in the intestine. And I will continue then to talk about the intestinal stem cells, which are the stem cells in the intestine. Okay, so what I have discovered is that hormones that come from our sex organs, they're normally called sex hormones, like the estrogen and progesterone. They're normally known to regulate fertility, reproductive fertility. But what I have discovered is that those hormones, they also go to the gut after mating to sustain the reproductive needs of the female to give the babies, basically. And they do so by stimulating the intestinal stem cells to divide. And the more intestinal stem cell division there is, the gut then grows in size to absorb more nutrients. But this did not come for free, because this process, it exhausts the intestine and forces it to age faster and to develop cancer more aggressively. So what's the relevance of this? The relevance is, first, this is a discovery that the sex hormones, they are not only directly affecting the sex organs, so like the breasts or the uterus or whatever you want to think of as a sex organ, but it also directly affects non-sex organs, like the intestine. Second thing is that this work provides an in vivo evidence that links the increased sex hormone to progression of intestinal cancers, which was a theory that was put before, that the more stem cells divide, the possible it contributes to, or they contribute to giving rise to cancer. So now we have discovered that the sex hormones, that directly affect the stem cell division might also directly affect the progression of those cancers. Okay, so the second thing I'd like to talk about is the practical experience that I have in the field of innovation. So I have over 5 years experience in prototyping and design thinking. And I'm sure that says what I want to say, that I love working with people and shaping experiences. So I would like to show you our prototype from the EIT Urban Mobility Summit, and here it goes. So firstly, the main problem we addressed is how to relieve the high burden of living costs of lower income individuals and their lack of accessibility to surrounding mobility services. So, and this, of course, ultimately first causes too many private cars in the street, and like the environmental cost of that, traffic congestion. And secondly, this also causes people to run away from living in the cities. So we came up with a prototype solution that is an app which is based on the idea of shared economy. So this allows citizens to share their living resources, such as solar cells, living spaces, or anything really of their choice with their neighbors at their convenience. In return for redeemable points for discounted public transport tickets or shared rides. And thereby this incentivizes the use of shared mobility services. So what's unique about our business model is that it both benefits the end users through reducing their living expenses, so like rent, electricity bills, and so on and so forth, and it stimulates the municipality and the private service providers to also invest in, because they will be expanding their services, increasing end user accessibility and engagement, and therefore generating more revenue and process. Now, this dual targeting approach that we proposed connects not only neighbors with each other, reduces pollution and gets the cars off the streets, and generates revenue streams to the service partners and improve the overall societal well-being and quality of life. So here you go, like a picture of our app. So imagine this, like Adam, and Adam just goes to the app and checks what services he could provide in the community, right? Or vice versa, what services the community provides to him. And then he, for example, wants to use a bike now, so he uses his bike and he gets some points for using it. And these points then are redeemed in the other mobility services that are sponsored by the municipality or the private service providers. So our team has won the Innova City Hackathon 2020, which then helped us compete further at the EIT Global Summit, winning the second place. So as an accumulation of this and previous experiences and more experiences that I have, I then ended up coaching startup teams and hackathons. And that was quite successful. I'm all about helping you challenge your perspective and taking it to the next level. And in doing so, I aim to impact 1 million lives in the next 5 years. Yes, you heard me. 1 million lives in the next 5 years. And yes, it's challenging, but what is life without a challenge, really? So why am I here? Okay, I'm here to challenge your status quo and inspire you to take action. So let me start a little bit about myself. So 8 years ago, I was a very normal, boring person in my comfort zone. I mean, I always knew I'm destined to do something great. And of course, the most natural way for me to do that was to excel in my education. Now, education that my family has instilled its importance in me for as long as I can remember. And then I came to Germany, and anything, really, anything you can think of as a hurdle or a setback in life, I've had that. And I've had that for a number of years. So, for example, lack of finances, living alone, moving 16 times in less than 8 years, identity crisis, discrimination, verbal abuse, toxic relationships, staying stuck for more than 1 year, failing numerous times to finish off my master's. All of which, of course, had left me depressed for a number of years. So whatever it is, you name it, I have been there. And so I know and I understand how challenging it looks like and it feels like. Suddenly, I guess I was a minority, and that meant I had to listen to people tell me, I'm Egyptian, I cannot succeed, or I'm a Muslim and I wear a hijab, I'm restricted, I cannot succeed, or whatever it is that you want to think of. So you name it, I've heard it. And I believed that, and I let that in. I let that in, but a part of me was screaming all the time, this is not me, I shouldn't let anyone create my opportunities for me. And I have to say, I was only very lucky that I have had people believe around me otherwise, that I could do it, that I could show up, that I could keep standing tall. And yeah, like if I do that, if I consistently do that, good things will come my way. So believe it or not, it was very difficult, but I did show up. And even if it was very dark, which believe me, it did get really very dark, it taught me how to be authentic and how to show up. This has been my reason why I started getting into coaching, because I looked around me and I realized so many people forget or are scared or are having self-limiting beliefs to show up. I realized that so many people don't have the space to just be. And I decided to break through my fears and to be responsible. I am here to make a difference. I am here to create miracles. So I'm Egyptian, and allow me to share with you two personal stories in two pictures. First, I go home every time. I go to trips to downtown Cairo or go to a mall in Nasser City or something. And then I just keep looking at so many people whom, like their eyes say, we're totally stuck. We have no opportunities. We have no perspectives. You could see it in their eyes. You could see it in the way they talk. You could see it in the way they look. You could see it in their smile. And all they ever get to experience in their lives really is self-limiting beliefs. And that just breaks my heart. Now off to the second picture. In one of my volunteering trips to the outskirts of Giza, where pyramids are, I remember it was a few years ago, and I was standing in a place with what must have been like 70 kids, in a place where I breathed dust, like literally. And I remember thinking, what will those kids grow up to be like? If they have no education, if they have no belief they can do better, then how will they grow up to be? When, exactly when and what will it take to break through the scarcity? And I'm breaking through, and I am committed to making myself better every day, because there will come one day when I can create an impact in those lives. And if that's not one hell of a worthy cause to contribute in it with me, then what is really? Here's the plan. So we first break through as individuals, each in our own circle. We go do amazing stuff as an abundant and inclusive community, and then it won't be too late before those people are also hit by the ripple effect of those miracles. So why is the process of breaking through self-limiting beliefs important? Actually, why is the process of breaking through limiting beliefs generally is important? How does it exist on a business level and on an individual level? Now, because of my background, I'm quite obsessed with consumer journeys and value delivery, the process that businesses go through to make sure they are capturing the best value and showing up to their customers authentically to deliver value. Now, from studying consumer and individual journeys, I realized that even though they could be quite different worlds, they have the same core setbacks. Now, it doesn't matter who your entity is, whether you're an individual or business. You need three main factors to steer forward. The first is you need to reflect on your past. It got you where you are today. And you don't have to do it in a bitter way. You just ask, what are the experiences that I've been exposed to? What are the experiences that we have been exposed to? And what is it telling us? And then the second question is, what are the experts around us saying in that matter? And the third question is, or the third factor is, our value compass that we should be very well aware of. And the clarity, if it's self-clarity as an individual or a clarity of purpose as a business, the clarity of our why. And if one of those factors is imbalanced, then you cannot steer forward at your best potential. So the more you understand the process, the more you trust it, and the more you will be able to grow on a log scale. Now, you may be telling me, yeah, well, Sarah, of course, yes, I go about with my friends' advice, it works for me. But let me ask you this, does it? We all know what we need to do, but why is it that we don't get it done? Well, actually, simple advice does not work because we need to flush our whole system of self-limiting beliefs to start seeing progress. We need someone to set the space for us to grow, to hold us accountable, and to believe that we can do things. And no one can do that in a session or two. This is a journey that takes effort and time. It's a journey that requires bravery, commitment, and showing up. That's not so easy, is it? Well, it's definitely easier said than done. But the good thing is that when it's done, it really takes you places you have not even imagined or thought of before. So what happens when we don't show up? Well, I can tell you, we're like a car engine operating on 30 kilometers per hour. Even when this car engine can literally roar, we are stuck with less than what we deserve. We are in bad relationships, we don't show up, we show up badly for the people whom we love, we don't hit the revenues that we're supposed to be hitting as a business, we don't get fulfilled as individuals, as businesses, as a society, as a community. So let me ask you this. One of the biggest problems that I have seen in my brief study about individual and consumer journeys is the lack of self-love. Now, do you ever think, what is the symptom of lack of scarcity on an individual level? What is the symptom of an individual not appreciating and not holding proper love for themselves? Well, let's discuss a bit the symptoms. First of all, without self-love, we end up judging others. You know, we look at how everyone is ahead and me not, or how I have to compete with my cousin or my friend, or I don't know, my colleague at work, or look where they got married, or how rich they are, or where do they send their kids to school. We keep looking outward, but not inward. Lack of self-love also stops us from doing so much. It stops us from starting that project we always wanted to do, or take that one decision that we know will change our life, because we don't think we will succeed. We think, oh, I cannot be like all of those successful people. I don't have what it takes. And when we are used to breaking self-limits, or when we are used to not having self-limits, people get to step on us, and they do it all the time. And there's no going back. And then, of course, the moment you decide, oh, I don't want to accept this anymore, it's too late. Now, respecting yourself means that you put yourself on top of hurt. I came across people who would stand in front of abusive men and challenge them to be hit. Now, that's not a one-person story. It's a struggle of many women out there, and not just Egyptian women or Middle Eastern. I'm sure it's women globally. And I'm here to tell you that if you know someone in your surrounding who's having that, who's going through that, that's absolutely not okay. Not only to that person on top of anyone else, but I want you to ask yourself, I want you to go ask the person, what must they be thinking of their self-worth that gets them to accept that? Whatever it is, I'm pretty sure, not 100% sure, 200% sure, is a made-up reality. Now, the third symptom of lack of scarcity mindset or lack of self-love is disempowerment. So I come from academia, and verbal abuse, or non-sexual harassment as they call it, is very common, where one supervisor or one's boss, they leverage their power to be abusive or disrespectful. Now, who says that that's okay? That's absolutely not. And when someone stands in front of you and their eyes wide open and they say, you are not worth investing effort in, you believe it. Every bit of you believes it. And it runs in your veins until something shocks you out of it. Now, no one, and I mean no one, I don't care who they are or what they do, no one has the right to disempower people like that. And to fight the trend, to fight that tendency, we ought to start having self-awareness, to respect our existence, to love ourselves, to be kind to ourselves, and to set limits for ourselves. Now, the fifth symptom, which is very common, especially in Egypt, I mean, I am Egyptian, I know how it is, victimization. I am a victim of my upbringing. I am a victim of my dad who didn't show up. I am a victim of my mom who did not raise me to be self-responsible. I am a victim of the society. I am the victim of the lack of opportunity. I am a victim of. Now, if you have one or more of those symptoms, I am here to tell you today that that is a myth. Again, it's a made-up reality in your head. And look what it drove you. A bad marriage, a horrible job, an unfulfilled soul. You know, why do we have to wait until we regret, until the last day of our lives? And then it's just too late to go back and do something about it. Now, if that's not shocking enough, well, let's talk about symptoms of scarcity mindset or lack of self-love on a societal or global level. Well, firstly, if too many people don't just love themselves anymore, we have a static view of things, nothing to look forward to every day. Secondly, we lack creativity, of course, because our minds are restricted and are constrained with negativity all the time, like literally all the time. Oh, look, my husband is horrible, I have a horrible job, I have horrible friends, I live in a horrible place, oh, it smells so bad, oh, it looks so bad, oh, I don't have enough clothes. Suddenly, all that we look at is what's missing. We cultivate a culture of what's missing, of a loss of gratitude. We just dwell in a powerless reality. Now, I like to tell my coaches this all the time. Each of us, we have a cup, and it symbolizes like a bucket where we put in all the things that we care about in our lives. And of course, if our cup is full, where the hell are we getting our energy from? Now, the third symptom is loss of control. Lack of trust, loss of control, creating excuses. Who of us here have heard that COVID has ruined our lives? I mean, yes, it did affect our lives, but it also created so many opportunities. So I'm here to tell you that if you claim that, your life is the same. Really, it is. You're just choosing not to be in a position of power. Now, the fourth thing is we get crippled by our anger. You know, I will talk more about this in the Arabic video. That is like, we create a culture of disbelief, and disbelief in kufr is not only something that is spiritual. This applies and extends to anything that is truthful. And no wonder why we feel empty and exhausted all the time. So what do? Well, usually, most of us, we just go buy a car, we buy clothes, we buy fancy expensive stuff, we obsess about social media followers, we take it to the extreme sometimes, we do drugs, we numb ourselves from feeling. And now I ask you this, is this satisfying? Is this giving you abundance? What is this doing to your life? Because whatever actions that we're doing collectively as people is not working. You know, we have a flawed belief system. We don't function as an individual, as a family, as a community, as a society, of course, as a business, and as a nation. And there is this law in Quran that says, God does not change something in people unless they change themselves. Yeah, exactly. Don't you think it's just about time to look deeper into what's not working within ourselves and figure out how to do it differently? What if I told you that our disbelief is driving us every living day to be disempowered? It invites scarcity into our lives. You still don't believe me so much, do you? Now I invite you to close your eyes and picture a car, your favorite car, that you were told you get to drive because it's yours. And then you go onto this road, it's beautiful, and you look around, there is sun, there is a shore, there are trees, there's a forest, there are people smiling, or people on a picnic. There's just beautiful scenery around you. Good stuff are happening. But instead, you choose for someone else to drive your car. If you're shackled with your fears, you're not encouraged to step and drive your own car. So you let someone else in the driver's seat. At their speed level, they're just driving you along the way. And you just keep fighting with them. And you lose the beauty of your drive. Or it doesn't even have to be someone. Many times it's something. It's thoughts that we put in our head that is driving our car for us. Like that version of you that says you're not good enough, or you're a loser, or you don't deserve good stuff in life, or you'll end up like the abusive people you met, or you're fulfilling your self-destructive prophecy, or I don't know. You will, instead of driving your own car, just keep fighting with yourself, pressing the brakes, having accidents, and of course not moving forward, and most definitely not enjoying the ride. So I invite you to look inside, to challenge yourself. Let me ask you this. How much are you driving your car every day? I'm betting you, for most of us, the answer would be it's not much at all. I wonder, instead of driving our own cars, how did we suddenly give ourselves the authority to judge other people driving around us in their own lanes, while we ourselves, we are absolutely not doing a good job driving our own car? We spend an abundant amount of time hating, shaming, judging something that is not in our hands and that is not even in our authority. Now let me ask you this. When was the last time you saw a manifestation of the Arabic word ahsan or the English word abundance in your surrounding? When was the last time you did something abundant to your surrounding? Now, where exactly do we expect abundance to come from? Okay, fine, that's all like theoretical, whatever, theories. Well, I will talk more about this again in the Arabic video, but I'm pretty sure that in every religion, God talks about peacefulness, about abundance. And God puts peacefulness and abundance as factors or as, qualities of people who will end up in heaven. Now, it's clear that you have to manifest that mindset to be rewarded. And whether you choose to believe in religions or not, that's fine. But it's really crystal clear if you just take a moment and think about it. You need to manifest a culture of mindset and peacefulness, a mindset of peacefulness and abundance. Now, I have discussed with many people about this, obviously, before I put it through. And I've realized that many of the resulting views of the disturbances and the factors that we talked about is that people view life as war. So I'm inviting you to ask yourself, if you wake up and go to sleep every single day thinking about life as a war, tell me, how and when are you inviting freedom? How and when are you inviting creativity and peace? And I don't know if this exists in other cultures, but in Egypt we say, life is like a watermelon. So you just don't know what is there until you cut through it. And I'm inviting you to ask yourself, if you wake up and go to sleep every day thinking about life as a watermelon, with you having no power, you tell me, how do you invite self-control with this mindset? How do you invite limits to your life with this mindset? The third most common view of life is a defeat. And I'm inviting you to ask yourself, if you wake up and go to sleep every single day thinking about life as a defeat or destruction or whatever, how are you expecting yourself to invite abundance with this mindset? Essentially, you cannot think about anything beyond your survival zone because that's exactly where your mind is stuck. So what is life? Life is a road trip full of choices and opportunities, full of mercy, clemency, and abundance, only if we let it be. It's always your choice. It is always your choice. So my question is, on a scale of 1 to 10, how peaceful are you right now? I want you to close your eyes, hold your heart, and ask yourself, how peaceful am I right now? Ask yourself, when was the last time I asked myself that? My second question is, on a scale of 1 to 10, how fulfilled are you? How abundant are you feeling right now? And when did you last ask yourself that? What if I told you that whether you're aware or not, your results stem from your action and from your mindset? And now, would you want to change that? And it's not anyone else's doing, it's your doing. And you can change that right here and now, today. If you don't feel empowered, it's again your choice. You can change that. And now this conversation is to openly invite you all to bring about difference in your life. I will again talk about this in more detail in Arabic, but I was reading through Quran and it says, like, for the people who give and who do well in life and who believe, we will give them an abundant, or we will set them off for abundance generally. And people who are not listening, or they are, they are ungenerous, they are disbelieving, we will give them scarcity. Now, again, I'm pretty sure this exists in every religion. And again, that's an abundance versus scarcity mindset. Now, did you ever wonder, like me, how is it that when you listen to a motivational speech or like a religious program or something like that, which you really love and you think, oh man, that's awesome, I should try to apply that. And you say, okay, I will adopt this action. Now let's do it. I'm all fueled up. And it's only a few days. But then you end up exactly at the same spot where you initially started. Why is that? It's because when taking action alone, you're not doing much more than just touching the tip of the iceberg. You need to wash away your current mindset, your belief system. You need to just be to invite something new. You need to be challenged. You need to get out of your comfort zone. And what do I do as a coach? I am committed to give you the space to grow. And when you work with me, I will provoke you to get the hell out of your comfort zone and status quo, that you will no longer feel stuck. Now, I'm passionate about giving people the space to transform and take it to the next level. I want to help you create a future that is worth waking up for every day. And I want to help create a future that is worth waking up for every day, for the so many kids, for the so many underprivileged people out there who don't have education, who don't have awareness, who don't currently have the opportunity. Because I know it's only a matter of time before I get to create an opportunity for them too. So if you feel like any of that has hit you, if you feel like now is your time to grow, if you know someone who could benefit from that, please feel free to connect. I happily invite you to have a life-changing conversation with me. And I leave you with this thought. If you believe in religion, in any sort of religion, I'm sure it says somewhere that if you do well in this life, you will also do well in your afterlife. So I invite you to think about that. Is the current mindset of scarcity that you have, do you think it's going to give you a good afterlife if you believe in that? Please think about that. Now, let's imagine for 1 second that this has changed, that we suddenly decided to adopt an abundance mindset in our lives. I want you to think, what things will you get in your life if you have that abundance mindset? I want you to give yourself the idea, the chance to just be. It will not only bring you forward one level, I promise, it will bring you forward levels you haven't even thought of before. And if that's not with me, then do it with someone else. The most important thing is that you show up. You take action. I'm here to tell you today that anything you will shut your eyes away from, you will not get it. Not now, not anywhere else, not in any space and time. If only you know how many opportunities you've missed out on so far. And that's okay, because you're hearing this for a reason. As we'd like to say in Egypt, that is a robina. It's something that was meant for you, like it was meant for me too one day. It was something for me that I was meant to understand and try my best to live up to every single day. And so what I'm doing now really is just I'm passing it forward. I'm creating this awareness that I once did not have myself. And I want you to know this, that whatever it is that has brought you to this moment in time now, today, here, it doesn't have to be where you're heading. You can always change that if you choose to take control and act. Thank you. Thank you so much for listening to me all this time, and tune in for more discussions, more in-depth. I would like to hear your feedback. What did you get from this for you? What would you be taking? What kind of action is it stimulating you to do? And let's keep in touch. Bye.